What we want to talk about in this video is ordering integers. So that means ordering positive numbers. So when we get a list of positive and negative numbers, what they'll ask us to do sometime is to put them in order either from least to greatest or greatest to least. So what I have here is a set of numbers, and they've asked me to put them in order from least to greatest. Now, I want to do a couple things that are going to make my life easier. The first thing is I want to say least, in this case, since I have negatives, is going to be negative, and greatest is going to be positive. So I want to go from my negatives to my positives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up two lines. These are going to be on my negative numbers, and these are going to be my positive numbers. So I've created like a negative world and a positive world. Okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to find what is my smallest number to be in my least category, and what is the biggest number to be in my greatest category. So if I'm looking for my smallest number, the only numbers that I'm going to be looking at are my negatives, because these are my least right here. And remember that since I'm in opposite world over here, because negatives are always opposite, I actually want the one that looks the biggest. So -9 is going to be my smallest number, because it looks like it's the biggest, but it's a negative. Then my greatest number, I'm looking at all my unhighlighted numbers, and I can see very easily that that is 10. Positive world, everything works just like normal. What I've done here is I found my smallest number and my biggest number. So I found the ends of my list. Now I can fill in the middle. So if I'm looking at my negatives, well, I know if I'm going from least to greatest, my numbers should look like they're getting smaller. So I go -4, then -3. Then for positives, it's exactly as I normally see it. From least to greatest, it's my smallest up to my biggest. And here is now my list in order, from least to greatest. Now, what if something like this? We have another set of numbers, but this time they want it from greatest to least. So this time I want to go from my positives to my negatives. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set up my worlds here, but this time I'm starting with a positive world and going to a negative world, because I want to go from the greatest to the least. But just like last time, I want to find what is my biggest number. So I'm going to look only at my positives, right? Only at my positives. Notice I didn't highlight 0, because 0 technically doesn't have a sign. 0 is just our 0. Okay? 5 is going to be my biggest number. So I'm going to put him here. My smallest number, if I'm looking at my negatives here, is the one that looks the biggest with my negative sign, and that is going to be -8. So again, I found my ends. I know my list is going to start with 5, and it's going to end with -8. This can be a great trick if you're doing a multiple choice question to eliminate some answer choices here. Now, let's look at my positive world. I've done 5, so next up is 2, because I'm going greatest to least, so I'm getting smaller. And then I put my 0. In 0, I'm going to kind of float right here in between worlds, because he's not really part of positive or negative world. Next, and since I have -8 at the end, this is going to stop you from actually putting it at the beginning, because what a lot of people want to do is they want to list -8, -6, -2, because you're looking at the 8, 6, and 2 and seeing it going down, and forgetting that everything is opposite in negative world. So since I have the 8 here already, it helps me to remember not to do this right here. So now it says, well, oh yeah, 8 has to be at the end, so I'm actually going to look like I'm counting up, because it's backwards. So I have -2, -6, -8. And so now I can see here is my list in order from greatest to least. So hopefully this helps you guys.